What's up, Moto Buddies? Mike here from Tacomoto. We are looking at a fully taco-built 300 Xcw. This is a 2024 TBI machine. We haven't done, not that I can think of, any two-strokes through the program, so this very likely is the first. And there are some really cool and very special features on this bike that make it an absolute trail slayer, as well as a road connector. So I think you'll notice that there's a few things straight away that make this fairly significant, and it's a platable bike. So we don't like to make a claim that it's street legal because every state has different laws and requirements, and so to say street legal might apply in Arizona or Nevada or Wyoming or South Dakota or some of the rural western states. And like Arizona, for example, you can put a license plate on a beer keg or a golf cart or a four-wheeler. So some states, specifics, especially in the West, like I mentioned, have a lot of latitude to put a license plate on a farm tractor or different things. And then you'll go to more of the urban type East Coast states, and it might be more difficult. So we never use the phrase street legal. I like to say streetable. This contains all the electronics and functions to go to your DMV and to apply for a plate. Whether or not you get that, that's going to be conditional on the state you live in and their specific requirements. But let's focus, since I think that's the most important thing about this bike, and then we'll cover some of the other things as well. But taking a look right straight away at what makes this bike streetable or possibly street legal, the headlights. So this is a Ruby R7 headlight. It's an off-road light, and we have wired this up so we have 3 positions. Now our Tacomoto electrical packages, our lighting packages, all include the ability to have an off. So even on the 24 EXCF bikes, which are the all-new electronic system, the package where you cannot turn the headlight off with a stock switch, but our aftermarket switch, our switch, does allow for that. So here we do the same thing, and so you have off and then low and high. And so low, you're running at about 15% intensity. Now, is that safe and suitable for the street? Sure, absolutely. I've done a lot of testing where we'll cruise around and ride that headlight on the low setting at night, and I never get anybody complaining. And I've ridden into the light of this bike from another direction with an R7, looking at it as an oncoming light, and it's absolutely suitable for the street. Then when you hit it into high beam, you're pumping out full power, and it's absolutely blinding. So that is, and I've said this before, that's really kind of our preferred all-around single best multi-use light. It's adaptable to trail, single track. You really can't go wrong with that light. It'll perform in any situation. Taking a look at the turn signals. So this rider wanted to have them spread out as far as possible. And that's not a bad idea when you mount them here, like in the stock configuration. And we have our Superflex signals. They only stick out a certain amount. Now it makes it legal for all DMV approvals because the OEM bike has that. And so clearly that's 50 states. You can even put them out a little farther. And here we have them in the hand grips. In the hand flags. And there are some lighting packages that we're going to start offering on the site as a plug and play. We had to customize. This bike was a one-off. It was an original creation, and we are going to standardize these electronics packages and then offer these out for sale on the site. So we looked at the turn signals. They're there in the hand flags. Talked about the high and low and off. And so turn signal functions here. Horn. The horn has been mounted down here. Right, well, it's going to be hard to see. Let's go to the other side. The horn lives here underneath the engine, and that's it right there, tucked behind the throttle body. You can see it behind the injectors. There it is right there. So it's completely out of the way. You don't have to fuss around with it when you remove the radiators or the tank and the bolts that hold the radiators on, the guards. You don't have to worry about any of that. So the horn also doesn't block any of the airflow when we mount it down there. And we like that location a lot. So up here on this Moto-Minded dash, this is an all new for 24 because The mask situation and the light configuration is new for the new bikes. You'll see there's a couple of tricks that this thing does. It's got a USB charger, and we can flip the top of this. And right here in the middle is a voltage monitor. That little section, this bike's not on right now, but this is where voltage would just be displayed. And then you've got 2 outlet ports, and you can cover that. Here's your low oil indicator, because this is an injection bike. This is the headlight bike. This machine originally comes with a headlight. Obviously, clearly we've upgraded that, but the OEM bike had a headlight. This is a switch that you can program and use for any of the rider functions, so you could potentially use this as a on and off switch for any other type of electronics that you'd like to have. This is powered on when the engine is on. So right now, you'll see it's off. This turns on and off with the engine itself. Over here we have the indicator for the turn signals. There's a green light in there, and that will blink as the turn signals are on, giving that indication. And then here is a key, and this is a pretty killer situation right here. We give you now the opportunity to have a key for your bike if you wanted that added protection. It also is a requirement in some instances when you go to get a license plate. So this becomes now a fully legal bike. And he went with the mirrors, he went with the minimalist mirror. This may not be legal in your area. You might have to have stock type mirrors, and STALK is what I mean by that. And that would be mirrors like double take scramblers that would stick up. And so you'll just need to consult your local area. All of that is managed by our power bus right here. And you've seen this before in our builds, and now we've adapted this to the 2-stroke lines. And so you have a fuse here for that control, relay control. There's a starting capacitor here on the other side. And you don't get a starting capacitor on the headlight bikes, 2 or 4-stroke. The competition bikes have them, the headlight bikes don't. So we add that, and that's all part of that package. And then we have an engine ground. So we ground the engine to the chassis. The stock bikes do not have that, so we've enhanced that. And then here we have a trickle charger port for if you want to trickle charge your battery, and that all snuggles in, tucks in, and lives there really, really well. And then behind the headlight mask, there's a few things I think we should point out. Here is the connection. This is that USB charger. This is the oil light. We have a terminal block here that gives you the opportunity to connect your own user electronics. So you could land a GPS or a phone charger or anything else you'd like to mount. And we give you 2 power connections. We give you 2 modes. So mode 1 would be direct to battery. So anything that you landed there on that bus, and these things pull out. And so you just quickly move them out. If you want to add a wire, you flip that, you stab a wire in there, whether it's just bare stripped wire, or if you have a ferrule, a wire management ferrule, and then you pop that down, and then this thing goes back up in and lives in that little block right there. So in just mere seconds, you can add and remove accessories to your bike, powered accessories. So mode 1 would be battery hot at all times, and then mode 2 would be engine only when the engine is running. And so this is connected to mode 2 over there. And then you have the ability to add more as you like. We talked about the key, and then here is the blinker. That's the signal indicator. And so that all lives on a Tacomoto custom bracket, wire management bracket that's right there. And then so there's stock wiring in there as well as our new wiring devices, and it's about as clean as you're gonna get. Headlight is here. This all mounts back up, and when it's back together, everything just hides in there really, really well. It's just such a great piece. Chris at Motomania did a really terrific job on that. So we take his standard bracket, and then we do some mods to it as well as incorporate it into our wiring and electrical package. Something else to point out is the cable management for the brake hose. So because you have this hose here, and you know that this thing just jacks and bounces around and it rips off GPSs and it becomes this big hassle here in the cockpit area, we have these little brackets, these little cable managers, and so we attach these to the bike. Now the flex-away point becomes here, Yamaha style, and then this is all rigid mounted and it never changes or moves. And so because this is routed out of the way, this cable doesn't interfere with anything. It never moves that brake hose. And then this is the Speedo. So the Speedo, we also take that and manage it into the electrical area where it needs to go. And so it doesn't come over here and double back, and it just simplifies. We just clean up and simplify the whole cockpit area. We make it incredibly usable, way more configurable and adaptable than you ever had with the stock. And that's what makes, I think, you know, when I started out, this 300 is ultra special. And a lot of this stuff we created and adapted for this one particular bike. And now that we've formatted this and standardized this, we'll offer all of these as like a plug and play solution that you can order off the site, and it'll ship ready to install. And so you don't have to be an electronics whiz. You don't have to figure any of this stuff out. We've done the hard work of sorting that, and it'll be ready to go to take your 300 two-stroke bike and put lighting on it. And we have this for the Xcw, and then soon we'll have the XC. Now, if you know about these bikes, the XC has a really puny, anemic stator, and we'll have stator upgrade options. This stator is the full 196 watt stator that you get on the Enduro 4-stroke bikes. So there's plenty of power to run the fan, this electrical package, charge your accessories, no issues there. But on the XC, the Enduro or the competition bikes, very, very weak stator, and so you need to upgrade your stator when you want to do these types of upgrades, and so that will be part of the kit as well. So moving on, sick ass on the bar guards, as well as these hand flags, and Mako 360, the soft damper system here, Scott stabilizer. Let's see, the suspension has been completely redone and revalved, resprung for this rider. Everything is custom there. Up front, we're running the stock tires. These are the tires this came with. This is the Geomax, the 3.3, what, I can't quite see. Geomax, I gotta get to the other side. But if you know that tire as it comes stock, that's what's on here. The MX 33F, it's a good tire. He'll just run them out and go with whatever he finds to be his preferred custom tire. TM Design Works on the lower lug guards. And then the STR, this is a standard format for us. We do this because of its incredibly low unsprung weight and high durability. STR carbon fiber, and then this is a UHMW replaceable wear front. Incredible setup, great wheel. Moose, got the Moose balls inside of there. And this is a 6 days bike, so that's why it's got the orange triple clamps, orange frame. The DID Dirt Star wheels, these are all standard with the 6 days package. Orange on the spoke lugs. That's just some of the bling stuff that you get with the 6 days package. Cherubies X Mud, these are great. You'll never blow a fork seal again with those because of dirt, grime, and grit. And then fork shrinks on the fork guards to really enhance the look. I mean, the front end of that just, it looks sensational in all blackout because of those things. OD Rogue grips, very cushy, very comfortable. Stock tank. This rider does not plan on doing long enduro rides. He'll probably ride from the house or a truck, and so the fuel range of the stock tank is going to be sufficient. Bulletproof looking here. We've got, this is the throttle body, and so the injectors are right there. This is a pretty vulnerable area on the new bikes, so it's a really stout, very, very hardcore cover. Recluse clutch, Golan fuel filter. These are all kind of essential upgrades on these bikes. And then a Dirt Tricks dome washer on the sprocket. And then he wanted to go with the gold DID chain, so we put a new chain on there. There was absolutely nothing wrong with the stock chain, and you don't need to change the chain on these. These are O-ring change, and they last a very long time. But you might like the look of a gold chain over the stock one, which is kind of more black, and so that's what was going on there. Promoto billet on the foot pegs. Those are the Air Extends bulletproof levers. These are billet, very, very strong, super robust. PC Racing air filter skin, PC Racing air filter gasket, real standard stuff. You see us do that all the time because of its reliability. Back here, that's the stock sprocket, and it's a bimetal, so aluminum here. I think it's a Renthal. It's hard to see who made that for them, but that comes standard in stock. Super Sprox, good on them. They're out of the Ukraine, 45, so 1445 is the gearing, and that's a really good all-around enduro type gearing. It's a good setup. Cherubies on these. Swing arm guards, the stock rear tire, and then it's got moose balls in there, enduro plate, tidy tail rear end. That's 3 functions, so it's brake, turn, and run all in one. He wanted to do the FMF exhaust, so that's a nice upfit. And I think that's the fatty on the header pipe, and then the 2.1 turbo core for the muffler, and that just moves the power band a little bit. This bike is incredibly fast, wicked crazy fast, very fun. Because it's a 6 days, it's a solid rear rotor instead of vented, and that just means that it's not gonna pack up with mud, and you're gonna have longer rear brake pad life. Bulletproof on the cover here. This is the electronic power valve, new for the TBI bikes. If you look down here, you can see there's a crankcase pressure sensor. There's an ambient pressure sensor up here and the side panel on the other side. And then the throttle body is right here, and the injectors, which you can't see. You see the yellow control knob, and then underneath there's 2 screws, 1, 2. Those are the 2 injectors. So instead of having the injectors be on the side ports of the cylinder, like on the TPI bikes, the TBIs have them there, sort of where God intended it. The oil and the fuel mix as it comes through the throttle body and into the crankcase, and it has a really good swirl effect. Mixes those different constituents really well, and that's one of the reasons. There are many, but one of the reasons why the TBI are reported to be better running, cleaner running, and more reliable in terms of smooth power delivery than the TPI bikes. We're molecule skid plate on this side over here, brake lever, another Bulletproof Designs product on that side. Xtrig on the shock, and that's just so you can very easily change the sag settings with an 8mm driver instead of having to turn that collar. Samco hoses upgraded, and then a little heat guard across the hose as it goes across the top of the engine, and the exhaust manifold. Stock fan, the Xcw, the enduro bikes, they have a headlight and they have a fan. That's stock. On the radiator guards, he went with the Trail Tech. These are just about the lightest guards you're gonna get. So the stock obviously would be lighter, they're plastic, and then the next lightest possible guards are the Trail Tech. Canyon Dancer tie-down straps, really cool devices. There are just little strap-down hooks. For the seat, this is the stock seat, stock 6 days. It's the KTM upgrade seat, and it's a very, very wicked aggressive, super bumpy, and so you have wet pants, you get mud on you, this is gonna just bite really well. Up here we have a Tacomoto thumb screw. This is toolless to pop the seat on and off. And then you'll notice that we have the Get ECU system. This is an all new configuration, and this allows us to have the new SX1 controller map switch. So that's a digital map switch, 2 maps, and then the traction control, you can manage that from the map switch. Works incredibly well. Map 2 on this bike really tames the power down. So map 1 is just absolutely an animal, hard-hitting, punchy, so fun, so fast, and then map 2 tames it down considerably. That's like your single track map. And then unfortunately right now, there's no quick shift available on the 2 strokes. So we're working with Athena to help that finalize, to develop that and bring that out. And so looking for that to be an option soon. So all of the features are available currently except for that traction control button. But the Get ECU system completely transforms the power and feel of this bike. It's an exceptional upgrade. And then that's mated to a TSP head right here. You can see that going on right there. And there are some Tacomoto secret plans happening for the 2-stroke bikes. We have not really done a lot in the 2-stroke world, and that's only because we've just really wanted to spend our time and get our 10,000 hours in on the 4 strokes before we branched out. Now, one thing you may or may not know about us is we take things very, very seriously, and we are pretty slow to change certain things. And one of the reasons is not because we're super conservative and we're not willing to take risks and chances. It's just that we want to really fully understand something that we're doing. We want to do it well. we want to do it the best. We want to be the best at it. And we feel like we've got to that point on the 4 strokes. And so now we are going to apply that same effort and energy to the 2 strokes. So look for much more coming ECU and possibly head combination packages tuned together. That's something that's coming soon. Maybe to finish up, just as I stand here, I noticed that there's bulletproof on the brake levers, and you'll hear that click. That's the brake switch that we add, and then we also add a brake switch back here to the rear. And let me just show you one quick pro tip. These boots on any of the bikes that you get from KTM with the Brembo brakes, if you notice, I don't have a unmodified one to show you, but I have cut away some of this rubber boot and I've slit the boot here on the back. And the reason is the rubber wraps around so much that if you ever have occasion to remove this, when you do, it's super difficult to get it off of the front. And then often when you do remove it from the front, it will catch that micro switch and it will break it. It's super common. Now you'll just see how that slid right off. And I can show you here. There's the cut. I used some scissors and I cut away a good portion of that here at the front that would have been there. And then that slit. And again, that's really to protect that micro switch. That switch is very, very delicate. And we find a lot of riders will rip that boot off and it will gouge into that switch, and it doesn't take much to break it. It's super delicate. So a quick modification like that to this rubber boot, or don't use the boot. It's completely not necessary. And I have a lot of bikes that don't have the boot and they get beat up and smashed around, and I've never had an issue. But if you want that boot, we'd recommend making that quick mod. So that's a wrap on this bike. It just turned out incredibly well. We're super happy with it. The rider, the owner's coming to pick it up and he's just gonna be blown away. I will post some horsepower numbers and the weight, the final wet weight. This bike has about 3/4 of a tank, and I'll throw it on a scale and weigh it, and I will put that down below in the notes so you can see what the before and after weight is and the horsepower numbers. So if you have any questions about this bike or anything we do, hit us up, let us know. Happy to talk, happy to help. Go out, get some adventure.